I've been streaming fighting games for almost 10 years now. I've seen thousands of matches, all kind of players playing against each other, all kind of games, all kind of matchups. And at a certain point, you kind of zone out when you're running a stream. Maybe the matches aren't very good, maybe the players aren't very good, or maybe you just don't like the game. But there's one game that always kept me hooked, and today's video is talking about the best game ever to have on stream, the best fighting game to stream. That's Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Wow, in the middle of the screen like that, huh?
Oh!
What?
Oh my God! The crowd is going nuts.
Oh my God! Just takes it! He takes it!
Oh no!
This might be it for Ojo. Is this it? Does he take it here in final round 15? He got it! He comes in from Tokyo, Japan, and he's getting mobbed by his friends who've all come out here to represent the Japanese Marvel scene, and they have it.
So I think the reason most people thought Marvel was popular is because it had X-Men flying around and super flashy combos, and yes, I will admit, like, that was a huge thing for the game. But the more and more you watched it, the more you came to appreciate it. There was a certain flow to the matches, and each player had their own kind of team that worked out for them, and the commentators had a really good way of breaking down why they played a certain way and why they used certain characters, and it all just kind of jived together to create like this ultimate viewer experience. So that's what this video is going to focus on. I'm not really going to talk about how the game worked, like what mechanics were good or bad, or what they could have improved, or what people didn't like, because I'm not a top player. All I can think of is like how the game helped me give a great viewing experience for the audience and things for people to appreciate. So let's jump into it. So the great thing about streaming fighting games is that they're so easy for the audience to understand. It's just two characters until one knocks the other out, the other one wins. But there's so much story that you can cram in between those two moments. So in Marvel, the story started as soon as you were in the character select screen. If someone picked Wolverine, they were about to rush someone down. If someone picked Morgan, there was going to be some crazy bullet hell going on. And if someone picked Dante, you were probably about to see like a combo movie in a real match. So even before the match, there's already a tension built because there is a chance that your team could get happy birthdayed. This is where two of your characters are knocked out and then you only have one left. And even when there was a character coming in, there was always like this guessing game, like are they going to survive the mix-up? This is basically when an opponent throws a setup at them to eliminate the next character coming in. And even if you're down and out, like you're never out in Marvel because there's literally X factor built into the game, and you can make it an amazing comeback with just one character that's just juiced up from it. So even though there was a built-in comeback mechanic like X Factor and there were simplified controls, it didn't mean that any newbie could come and even challenge one of the top players after a few weeks of practice. No, there was actual gods in Marvel that just stood above the pack, and their clashes against each other were really epic.
And Chris G is your new Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 champion. This has to be poetic for him. Waited all this time, and live here at the Mandalay Bay Evo 2016, Chris G finally gets the championship that he deserves.
Winning Evo meant that you were considered the king of Marvel for the next year, and everyone would be coming to take you down. And despite there being certain play styles and certain teams that were really prevalent in Marvel, each of the Evo champions had their own unique take on the game and their own unique team compositions. So one of the unique stories from the Marvel community was that of King Blue River, or KBR. KBR hustled his way out of Chile into the US, and he basically had the Ryu journey of sleeping on couches, going from the US to Japan, back and forth, back to Chile. And eventually he was able to get an Evo title, and he brought a really unique big body team. But the most famous thing is his showdown with Filipino Champ, another Evo champion. So Filipino Champ actually had a really controlled, methodical style of playing the game. He studied it deeply, learned frame data. And this match was amazing because even though Filipino Champ played a really controlled style, he was a very big showman, and KBR, even though he did this rushdown style, he was very stoic during the match. And Filipino Champ won the exhibition, and then in the main tournament they met in grand finals, which KBR actually won. But I don't need to tell you about this. I was actually able to meet up with Filipino Champ, and I wanted to give you some of his thoughts about that legendary match.
I saw it as a business opportunity. He won Evo, and during the course of the entirety of the game, I basically have a 100% win ratio against him. So I felt like you can't be an Evo champion if you're my bitch. So I started challenging him, creating a lot of like memes on Twitter, and I started calling him out. Then he finally agreed. But then my goal there, since he agreed, was I wanted to get the most number of views, the most number of people to watch the event, because I'm headlining the event. So this is the era where like I was headlining a lot of majors for my exhibition matches, and KBR was my next victim. So I decided to do that, and it was one of the most viewed, if not the most viewed exhibition match of all fighting games. Was me versus KBR. We had about over 60,000 concurrent viewers. It's been all over. I trended on Twitter as well, so I found it very, very successful. My friend and I, like Hyro, I rehearsed what I'm supposed to do, so I wanted to play the bad guy role. So by doing that, we came up with little antics to do during the match, so we can get the crowd going. We could get a lot of chat interactions as well, because I want to see a lot of chat activity as well. So I wanted to get every single number that I could break for a fighting game event. So I was very happy that the chat interaction blew up. Everybody was very happy with my performance. But then lucky for KBR, the next day we actually played in a tournament. I was able to beat him in winners in top 8. So I was in grand finals. He had to beat me 2 sets. And then while playing him, I actually said, I'm sorry, I can't do this to you anymore. Because after I beat him, I said, I'm sorry, I can't do this to you anymore. I felt really bad. And then we played again in the grand finals. I didn't really have my killer instinct anymore because, I didn't have the fire in me anymore. That's not an excuse, but I did end up losing to him. I felt like it was a great thing because everybody started talking shit even more the following day. So I had 2 days of like the entire Twitter world was talking about me and KBR. So it's really, really awesome. If I had to do it again, I would definitely do it again. And I wanted the results to be the same way. I wanted to also lose the next day. I'm not giving any excuse. I definitely lost fair and square. He definitely beat me. He deserves it, Finally, he got 1 out of 7 years, but he definitely deserves it, and I would not change a thing,
Another great story was that of Justin Wong. Justin Wong was the king of the East Coast, the king of Marvel. For so many years, he dominated Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at EVO, but that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 victory seemed to elude him. He actually came up short 1 year against Flocker, but then he finally got that long-fought, hard-deserved victory against Chris G at EVO 2014 in a very exciting set. Speaking of Chris G, he's one of the interesting players because he spent years chasing down that EVO title despite over the years basically being dominant all throughout the regular tournament season. So it's not just about winning EVO for Marvel 3, there was a bunch of characters that popped up over the years. There was Fnatic, who brought the 2-man tournament over to the Marvel 3 community and had that amazing match with Ray Ray. There's also my personal favorite, the human combo video, Richard Wynn. Although with EVO, he did provide Justin Wong with another EVO moment. Another great story from Marvel 3 is that Marvel is always thought of as America's game and the US is always going to dominate and win. But at one final round, from Japan, out of nowhere came Kusoru with this super unorthodox team displaying all this tech that no one had ever seen. And then he comes and he takes America's money and then he just vanishes, never to be seen again. So another great event was the Aftershock event. This is actually one of my favorite events that I've ever worked on. And it was a NorCal versus SoCal exhibition match with a bunch of different players. And they all had like these intro videos to talk trash about each other. And the crazy thing was that this was actually like the last stream for Haunts. Haunts had spent years with iPlayWinner basically launching this whole streaming initiative that got the FGC to where it is now. And he was actually moving on to go work at Capcom and launch the Capcom Pro Tour. So the Aftershock event actually featured another future Capcom. This was Combo Fiend. And Combo Fiend was part of probably what was the most viral moment in Marvel 3's history. This is the bionic arm moment. And moments like these wouldn't happen if it wasn't for the amazing commentators that was part of the Marvel community.
Hey, Lise, wanna join us?
Room for one more.
We're watching the TV.
I cannot believe I just sat through that.
Yo,
Yeah,
shout out to Japan. I got love for Japan. I watch a lot of anime, so I just love the voices, man.
Yeah,
I love the voices.
Real talk, I almost coughed up a lung right there.
Yo, I love Japanese voices, man. I love Bleach. I love Naruto.
Oh my God.
Much like with MVC2, IFC Yipes was the voice of Marvel 3. And probably the most beloved pairing was IFC Yipes and Chris Matrix. But Yipes also took on a community leadership role within the Marvel 3 community. He launched the very popular Curly Mustache series, which eventually spread across the globe and turned into its own unofficial Pro Tour circuit for Marvel. He also stayed a top player and was sponsored by Broken Tier, which was one of the first sponsorships that was actually just created from within the FGC. So a lot of established Street Fighter commentators came over to Marvel 3. There was Ultra Chen, Magus1234, Ski Sonic, but even some ghosts of Marvel's past came out of the woodwork. There was Dark Prince, who came back, I guess, from being a mercenary in the Philippines, and then there was Neo, who came with 5 golden letters. Marvel was also the start for a lot of commentators that you see almost everywhere in gaming now. I still remember it was a random Wednesday night fights that I was running the stream for, and then we put Tasty Steve on the mic, and it was like one of those magic A Star is Born moments where the whole chat was like, who is this guy? Maximilian brought a whole new level of production quality to fighting game education and content with the Assist Me series, and now he's probably the most popular Twitch streamer and fighting game YouTube in the world with over 1 million subscribers. Marvel 3 also showed that fighting game commentary didn't just have to be a boys club. Nina and Persia came on to cast a variety of high-profile events, and Persia actually commentated a variety of EVO Top 8 finals and has moved on to be a host for GameStop TV. So we don't know if we'll ever get another Marvel vs. Capcom game, but the Marvel games that are out still live to this day. So there never might not be a reveal moment like the Quicksilver glitch, but even to this day, people are posting new tech for Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And love it or hate it, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite had one of the most amazing and emotional EVO finals on the community stage in 2018. And hey, even to this day, there's still 2-man tournaments for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. In fact, I think there is just one at Combo Breaker. There's this recent trend in fighting games about making them simpler and more accessible to a broader audience, and that's great. But I gotta say, there's just something special about watching 2 players that you know have spent hours and hours in the training room learning combos and setups, and they're having this really close, tense, emotional bout, and you're screaming your lungs out because you know that a Filipino champ beats Chris G with at least 3 seconds on the clock without using X Factor, that you're gonna win $5 from that random dude in the curly mustache sweater 3 rows ahead of you. So what's your favorite game to watch? And do you think we'll ever get another Marvel game? And what dream match in Marvel haven't we seen yet? Anyway, let me know your answers in the comments, and thanks again to Filipino Champ for joining me on this video. So I know I promised a Tekken video this week, but we hit a slight delay on one of the production elements for that video. If you haven't seen it yet, I recommend checking out my analysis on the health of Street Fighter. Make sure to subscribe for more Culture Vulture videos on the FGC, and peace out.
I've been streaming a lot more on twitch.tv/FGTV Live, but I'm deciding to stream a lot more, produce more content. I want to do a lot of analysis videos. As far as tournaments are concerned, I won't be traveling a lot this year, but I will be in Rev Major, I will be on ESGS, these tournaments that I'm helping run. But as far as competing, I won't really come back to compete until I see the games that I'm known to play, like the Rising Thunder games or the Marvel 4 games, you know? Like those are the only games that I'm gonna return to. If there's like even a Street Fighter 6, I wouldn't really return for that.